There we are. Call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for div anarchy and interface with a couch in space. It's space couch time once again. The planets have aligned metaphorically, spiritually, if you will, but mostly physically because we're all about physics here in the furthest reaches of space. Speaking of reaches, we can only reach you, care of our advertisers. Brand new this week, it's Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out, of course, the new one from science fiction. Oh, it's a beast. The new one from Isserly, also probably my new favorite, Isserly. Batavia's and the Us. It's amazing. Also, Isserly's Cannibal World. It's the best. Isserly is on a tear with Ashes to Slashes. And the new one from Melting Rust Opera, Anti-Human System, and Every Day is a Disaster, the instrumentals from Syndica Zero. So Happy just came out from Skull Cultist. You want to check out Grasp Logic, and then you want to also do Gasoline and Vertebrate's Bad Fact single. Sanity Checks is out. Worked really hard on that one. Rat King's Ghost has a new single, Hoffinator. Also, we're going on tour with God Module as Gasoline Invertebrate if you're in La Crosse, Minneapolis, Ann Arbor, or Chicago. Also, super thanks to our patrons. Thanks to Gozer Games, IHateArtists.com, Lured by Radium, Dominic, Grim Reaper for Hire, Hackin' slash Patreon.com, Hack the Reaper, Bremily, Ray, Flyahead, Twitch.tv slash Flyahead, Walter Magoo, Etsy.com slash WL Leatherwork, Hunt and Talk with the Ditch, theditch.panhand.com, and Glitch on Twitch. Get your name in those credits at patreon.com slash Gothsicles. Oh, that coffee is kicking in, and I'm glad it is because this is a big one for me. Repeat guest, and I've had to redo these questions a couple of times because he keeps putting out new albums. It's just amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome me in welcoming Ray Tube! Wow, you are all set for the rays of space and the cosmic radiation filtering in through the camera into thine eyes and goggles. What's up? Welcome back to
Brian, is that you, Brian?
Ja, wir sind hier, mein Freund.
Brian, which one of you is having the baby, Brian? Oh, sorry. Whoops, wrong show. Whew. Anyway, hey, thank you for having me. I so appreciate it. I'm so glad to be here.
I want to see that show, but it's super happy to have you here. We could start down any number of avenues. Let's start with the most recent hot off the cathode ray press release, Colossus. How would you characterize this body of tracks?
That's a great question, and thank you for again for having me. Colossus, I guess I'm trying to answer it honestly. As honestly, I kind of just wanted to release some stuff,
sure,
and and put it out. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm known for being insanely prolific, which I'm trying to curb, but at the same time, wanting to kind of keep stuff out there. And each of the releases I've been doing lately, I've been trying to do, I don't say thematic, but just like pick songs that work well with each other in a particular way. Just like each release is sort of a mini mix in its own way. And I found these ones all work together.
Interesting.
And I'm sorry, I have to look at the track list to remember, because as you've noted, I'm a little prolific.
You are a machine.
And sometimes I don't remember everything I've done, but yeah, like it's been really interesting to do this. I think I should start by saying for 2023, like I said, I don't want to be as prolific. I kind of want to pull back a little bit, because I realized that what I started in 2020 of putting out a lot of stuff.
Right.
As a friend of mine pointed out in early 2021, we were looking back, and he's like, you put out 12 releases last year. So,
wild.
Just maybe pump the brakes a tad.
It's wild.
But I decided, okay, for 2023, I'm going to do a release a month, but not a full album, because that would make me insane. But basically, like, 1 month it's an EP, the next it might be a single of 2 songs, then an album. So a little bit, like, I wouldn't say necessarily quality over quantity, but less in quantity, and just really really kind of looking hard and carefully at what I'm putting out there. And I'll tell you, one of the big reasons why was, not to name drop, but I had the good fortune to interview Stephen Malander, Mal of Cabaret Voltaire, which was realizing a lifelong dream.
Dude,
he was actually
cool,
incredibly wonderful guy.
Oh,
and
I'm such a fan.
Yeah, it was so great. And like, it's funny, like, not to go too far off the tangent, but right in the beginning of the interview, I interviewed him over the summer, and I said, Mal, I apologize if at any point I get interrupted by, you hear weird Russian voices and yelling. Said, I got some guys coming in to install a heat pump. And he said, oh, that's okay. He said, we're 2 peas in a pod, or something typically British. He said, because I've got Australian workers coming to do some work in the garden, so you may get interrupted there as well. So that was kind of funny. Anywho, but we were talking, and something that struck me was that despite there being a well-known and public rift between him and Richard H. Kirk, Mal still spoke very, very highly about him, no matter what.
Okay.
And one thing he said, though, and I don't think he said this necessarily in relation to Richard H. Kirk, but it could be, because the guy was prolific as fuck. And he put out so much stuff that Mal said something like, you can give it as many different names as you want, but at the end of the day, you're still putting out a lot of music, and you have to wonder sometimes about the quality of what you're putting out there.
Okay.
And that's good. I'm also of the school that, like, The Fall for a while released one year they released like a new single every month, which is harder to do if you have like a full band like they did, even though Marky Smith was leading the charge, or other artists who are prolific. I think it's like people kind of get into a we've been trained to be in a certain headspace by, I think, big record companies release schedules of, like, say a single and then an album, and then 6 months later maybe another single.
I mean, that was the formula for so long.
Yeah, but so with back to Colossus, like, I was thinking about, well, first off, I had to make up for the fact that I thought the first Bandcamp Friday was in January. It was in February, so I needed to put something out. But I'd been thinking about what to put out, and I looked at those songs, and I just really liked how, like, Delineation just comes in kind of like a bit of a banger, and all the songs do kind of different things. And then the final one, Machiko Location, is, and almost, it's like supposed to sound like real drums, because I'm embracing that I'm a frustrated drummer in life, and I'm really trying to.
Let's take a listen to that before we do. Shout out to the Ramen Don, sponsor of the show, Tiger Squawk Records' own Bitman from MTV TV, DJ D42, and Unit Code Machine, and my coworker Eric in the chat rooms, rock stars today. That's cool. All right, this is just a little taste of the first track delineation off the brand new Colossus. Back in. So that was dope. I love it. Like, so Eric says, in regards to the volume of work you produce, are you compelled to release everything you create, or is there a treasure trove of unreleased material?
Fantastic question. No. Um, it may seem like I do,
Okay.
but I actually don't. And I actually go, my music actually goes through
You
a,
don't you don't have a
I do not
treasure trove?
release everything I do.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I'm actually proud of the fact that I was looking back because sometimes I get, in the deep dark corners of the night here in Flow Control, the secret laboratory where I create music. I sometimes wonder, like, am I just putting out endless, just stuff that shouldn't be? And another friend of mine, we talked about that too. And a guy who's very selective about his output. He wouldn't mind me if it's saying Nathan Moody, who's a fantastic musician and engineer, but musician in his own right. I don't put everything out. I'm lucky enough that I have been able to, for the last couple of years, really just give myself fully to just doing music. I mean, in addition to working, but
Sure.
Like a typical song of mine, any song that gets released into the general public, I have listened to it easily 100 times or more to like smooth out any bumps and just make sure it works for my appreciation. Then I send it to my oldest friend, guy I've known since high school, my friend Jay, who is sort of he's my unofficial archivist, my sequencer. He's the guy who I send all the sequences to, but he also tells me if a song sucks or not. and
It's a good resource.
It really is. It really is. And my wife is too. Like my wife, I will play stuff for my wife. So I play it for a couple people. And if they all like it, and if I can still stand it after this process,
Yeah.
then people hear it. But like I said, I've just really, I just spent a lot of time being able to make music. Now,
Wow.
that said, in the last few months, especially towards the end of last year, I really started, like, at the end of every year, I start to look at like the new year and kind of what do I want to do. And one thing I was like, I really want to stop and listen and learn more. So part of that is going back and just listening to, not going back, but going and listening and trying to find new, interesting music. So it can be anything from, let's say, like Ski Mask is someone who I've recently gotten really into, which is full on, German IDM stuff,
Awesome.
but also like a lot of country music, like Ernest Tubb. Or I found this really weird album it's called, it's like leaf playing music of Quito, Peru, 1960 to 65.
That sounds awesome.
And it's a dude playing a leaf. I'm thinking if you listen to the music, it's probably coca leaf. And it's really great, but it really makes you, I think when you do that, you start to hear different things, obviously, but it lets you free up, especially if you're someone like me who's pretty compulsive and pretty tightly wound. Like it frees you up to just experience more and then apply that more to your music. And the other thing too is just like learning new techniques, like recording or learning new devices.
Yeah.
I got a few things piled up back here. This is my going to be my live rig. I'm hoping to do some live shows in the
Oh, I was
year.
gonna
Yeah,
ask about that.
this will be my first live shows in almost 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so kind of crazy, um, but yeah. So I apologize. I'm way rounded, like not getting to the
No,
question
man. We got
correctly.
well. That's why we go into space because it's not like anybody's
See,
after us. Like
because it's not linear, man. It's not ABC,
we are
man. It's not one, two,
non-Euclidean as all
three.
get out up in.
Exactly. It's dialectics, man. No,
Right.
sorry.
Right.
Um,
Uh.
but so yeah, so I've kind of I really do employ some quality control.
Well, because that's the thing. Like, it's not just like, rinse, repeat in fucking Fruity Loops. And here's your
Yeah,
thing. It's all really good. It's like, how is he doing
thank you.
quality stuff?
I
It's
appreciate
just,
that, especially since I know what I've been making lately, and it's not that great. No,
oh, you. Let's do.
I've been enjoying. You know what it is? I've been enjoying more like musically sketching. Like I'll work on something, and if it doesn't take me right away, I'll save it, and then maybe I'll come back. And you'd be surprised how many songs of mine that you hear, nothing off Colossus, but some other things. They're
Mhm.
older tracks that I went back and was like, oh, this
Mm.
actually doesn't suck. This is actually pretty decent.
Okay. No,
So,
that's
excuse me.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I put together a montage of I only went back to 2021 and these are
that's okay.
just a montage of
Yeah.
releases. It's just kind of astounding. I'm a fan of each one. I found they work on the plane and in the gym. There's a lot of
Really?
versatility. Um,
I'm always amazed to hear where people are listening to
Well,
my stuff and what
that's
they
you're
like.
setting me up for a great question because for an artist is sort of varied and open to interpretation. Let's say
Hmm.
to that. Have you ever been surprised where people are like, "Yeah, I really associate you with." Whatever trench warfare in World War I, and you're like, what the like? Has anyone ever come out of left field with an interpretation or a meaning?
You know, oh God, somebody did, and I'm trying to remember what it was,
Or
but
just a general
uh, uh,
description of your vibe.
yeah, I think you showed you showed the cover for Unearthed there,
Yeah.
which I was very lucky was actually picked for Bandcamp for best electronic
Hell
music
yeah.
amongst those in August, which was a wonderful surprise. Uh,
Before it, because I talked over you, I want to make sure that gets out there. Got cited as one of Bandcamp's best for August of 2022.
I was very very touched and moved like that because especially when you're a non-touring solo artist, sometimes you
mm.
feel like it's just you out here in space making the noise. Um, oh, I'm sure I'm going to think later of someone, but I think what it is like I'm always amazed when certain people come up to me that when they say like I don't like this kind of stuff,
hmm
but yours somehow works.
mm.
Like I appreciate it. Or
Hmm.
they're like, I usually listen to like a lot of metal,
Hmm.
and you've really hit something,
Okay,
with
that's
me.
pretty awesome.
It is. Yeah, I think you know from being a guy who am old enough to remember, when the hip hop camps and the metal camps and the punk camps were all separate,
I did
and then
nary
to
shell between meat. It was like
right, and then all of
hard
a sudden,
borders. Right.
like they came together, and you had like Public Enemy and Anthrax working together, but like people showing up at like Public Enemy shows and like camo shorts and like Metallica shirts. I
Hmm.
think when you win over the metal guys, like you're really hitting something, which is funny because
Yes.
like I've been listening to a lot of Slayer lately, and I didn't listen to him a lot back in the day, but now I'm like, wow, was I missing something? Um, so yeah, I think I'm most impressed when people come out and say, yeah, they're not, they're like, normally I listen to 70s German free jazz, but you're really
hmm
swinging it, man. And I'm like, really, that works? You like that?
Oh,
Like
that's
that type of thing. So it's very
I
cool.
love that point about metal guys because I don't know how the memo ever got out that metal guys were dumb, because they were always the smartest friends I had. Were always like
Right.
the metal guys, like it. If you ever
Yeah.
if there's ever like a metal guy or whatever on like an episode of CSI, they're like living in their mom's basement eating Fruity Loops, but they're like no, they're doing
No,
lab
no. The
work.
guy, the real guy living in the basement is the IDM guy.
Right,
Uh,
right.
who's working, temp jobs or a call center like me. But the metal guy is out there driving a truck, like getting it done, and then practicing with his
Yeah,
band or
because
something.
or he invented the whatever digital tracking thing that like
Hmm.
just they were all the smartest guys I know. Sorry, you just
Yep.
got me excited about. But it is a cool feeling when someone's like, yeah, I like Morbid Angel and the Gothsicles. All right,
Hmm.
cool. A lot of
Yeah.
range, but
Hell yeah. And
hell
that's why
yeah.
I from early on, I like when I worked in corporate America, which thank God I'm not doing that anymore, but I used to play my music or give like people CDs or something and say,
Hmm.
check this out. And hopefully I would scare them. But I always loved when they would be like, well, I really liked it. And I actually played it for my kids and they really liked it.
Kids are the other one.
So
That's
yeah,
the big
exactly.
vindicator.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But I want to go back to Bandcamp real quick, because
Hmm.
what is that experience like? Does like you see your downloads blow up or what?
Yeah, it was kind of funny, frankly, because like like everybody, I'm just trying to get heard above the noise, and I'm doing the music first and foremost for me, truly, and that other people want to hear it is wonderful. But then when you wake up, like, I woke up and like, um, and my friend Nathan emailed me from California,
Hmm.
so he's like, he's up in the wee hours. He's like, dude, did you see this? And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my god. And then yeah, so I started to see like stuff pop up in my feed, my email, and then mentions and stuff. And I just watched the numbers jump like,
Mm.
I want to say like almost almost like 1,000%, like in
Oh
one day. It
wow,
was
that's
crazy.
cool.
And
That's cool.
it's been great because like, and it's still going. Like people are still listening, and still picking it up, especially when the guy who reviewed it was really fantastic because he said, basically, he's like, the songs are long, but worth it if you stick them out.
Hmm.
And I appreciate that because I know that my music is not for everybody. And I'm
Right.
not under the impression that someone is an idiot because they don't like Cathode Ray most of the time. They're not an idiot if they don't like me. But like it is always great when new people come and check the stuff, hear your stuff, and hear what you're doing, and are digging it.
Right.
They're
Right.
into it, and they're really feeling it. That I really got off on. Just to just experience new people,
Hmm.
and what they did like or what they didn't. The funny thing, I mean,
That's cool, man.
is as a musician, it's like you have all your tracks are your children, they're all your favorites, and
Right.
you have your favorite track, but what other people like is always fascinating to me.
Mind blowing. You're like
And
you picked
like,
that one?
right, I think back, I think it was like, I remember reading somewhere that like Kurt Cobain was really pissed off that Nirvana got so big because he didn't like the people who like Nirvana. And I've thought about that for a long time. Not everybody, but some people. I think he
Okay.
is specifically objected to like, what he called like mindless frat boys. But I realized like, when you put something out there, it's not really, you're giving it to people, and you're like, this is for you, whoever likes it. And so you can't really get annoyed when somebody you don't
Hmm.
like likes it. Not that that's really happened to me, but like it it really is interesting to see who digs it, and especially with Bandcamp, you can poke around in their collections and see what else they have, and
Yeah.
where you rank amongst the others. So yeah, it was really awesome, and really interesting to just see. I guess the one thing it taught me, I said, even though I said I know my music is not for everyone, it made me realize there's more people out there who might like it than I think,
That
and
is wild.
and they're not just German in Germany or Japan or something.
Well,
It's
cuz
like there's people all over the world.
I mean, I'm at the age now where like way back in the dawn of time MySpace days when
Mhm.
Vampire Freaks was starting. They had,
Yep.
if you just went to vampirefreaks.com/music, was just a random selection, and the Gothical's Konami code was at the top of that, right?
Nice.
Crazy. It was like, and it was
Yeah.
still up to like they changed the format of the site like 2 years ago.
That's
Um,
amazing.
it
That's
was
so cool.
crazy,
Yeah.
and but it was so long ago. Like now, I'm meeting people who are like, "I've grown up on your music." Whoa, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to my world. I have, a million years ago, I put out the compilation Boston, Not London.
Yep,
And
yep. We talked
I'm
about it when you were
amazed.
last on the show.
That's right. That's right. And I'm amazed at the traction that still has, but that there are younger folks, like younger, my daughter's 24, so there's people
Hmm.
younger than that picking it up and digging it and still listening, and enjoying it, because it's still it's a good comp.
It's
I,
great.
I
No,
I
it's
look I look
great.
back at everything and I want to redo everything, but it's like I really love the selections we got there, and I'm still friends with almost, I'm in contact with almost all the guys on it, and it was really just a fascinating thing. But yeah, like, it's just great to see who is listening to your stuff, not necessarily for the ego gratification, though that helps,
Doesn't
but
hurt.
just that, like, I should say, for me, it's like I know I'm doing something. I think everybody strives to not be a cliche, but for me, it's like I know I'm doing something that is working, whatever that means, when people sort of outside the genre are like, "Oh, I heard this and I dig
Mm.
this," or like last was it last year? Yeah, that I when I did the album, Ohm Resistance released it. Who woke the demons that broke down the systems? Um, Very kind of heavy album for me, but a little more synth driven than Ohm Resistance is probably known for.
Hmm.
However, I was really psyched by people coming out and saying how much they loved it.
That's
Um,
amazing.
Despite being like on a different label, or like, or I did the Intona Rumori album for the Viral Conspiracy Records out of Italy. And that's a really different album for those guys, because
Hmm.
Mattia, who runs that label, is a fantastic guy. And it tends to be harder industrial, and like, or hard acid or hard jungle. And here I came out with my little, little whatever, synthy album doing stuff. And people loved it. Like,
That's
they were
cool,
like,
man.
not the usual thing here, but I dig it. And I'm like, all
Well,
right.
speaking of Boston, not London, the erstwhile, uh, let's, for the sake of time, say IDM ish
Mm-hmm,
compilation you put out
mm-hmm.
a number of years ago. That was a very, very influential for me learning about my now past here in Boston,
Right.
electronic Boston. Um, I've Let me know if we can talk about this or this is secret information, but there might be talk of an electronic music compilation of the scene where you are in Portland, Maine.
Well, yes, I thought we were going to talk about the recent arrests, which are totally fabricated. And let me tell you something: the go- the goats were into it, man. That's all. No,
No harm done.
yeah, it's all about consent for the 20th century, 21st century. No, seriously, yeah. So I've been living in Maine for like the last 17 years, and I am embarrassed to admit that I labored under the misconception that most of the music being made up here was like classic rock or metal
Hmm.
bands, or but a lot of country and bluegrass,
Okay.
which is great. There's great stuff in that. And then um, I I met a couple people
Hmm.
who introduced me to the fact that there was all sorts of stuff happening electronically that I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
And then I realized, oh yes, I'm the guy who sits in his office making music all day. I don't really go out much.
Hmm.
So it's really cool to discover, like, within, and easily within the last, well, it's almost March, like the last 5 6 months,
Hmm.
just like you know,
Oh wow,
like
that's
people
cool.
popped out. Yeah. So, and one of them is a guy named Jeremy, who is on Heterodox Records. As it's funny, I know him just as Jeremy. Jeremy, excuse me, but he's on Heterodox, and his band name is Bag of Holding. And
Nice.
he and I got to talking because he contacted me about doing a remix for Heterodox for Ramon's label. Who listeners out there back on planet Earth and all the planets in between, you should really go check out Heterodox Records on Bandcamp. But he got in touch with me, and it turns out I thought, uh, he lives very close to me and very close to where my family's uh, lake house is.
Oh
I
wow.
know that makes me sound like the 1%, but when you see it, be like, okay, it's a nice house. But anyway, so we got to talking, and it was like so great to realize I had a kindred spirit up here. But I've been talking to him and some other folks about doing a compilation of music from Portland, like
Mm,
electronic stuff in Portland. I
awesome.
mean, we'll open it up to the region, but I want to kind of curate something that's more local, because I think it's really interesting. It's very much in its infancy stage,
Hmm.
but I'm excited. And when there's more news about it, I'll send it to you and I'll spread the word.
Hell
But
yeah.
folks, if folks follow me on, they can follow me on Twitter. I'm Big Bed Chang over there, or Instagram. I'm Changstagram with a Z in front of the S. Instagram of the Manhattanville Instagrams. Anyway, uh, I'll put stuff there, but I'm really excited about that because it'll be interesting to do that, and that's also where um, I was someone was talking to me about doing a live show for some group things here, and I was like, okay, but I was also terrified because I haven't played in almost 10 years,
Hmm.
played out in almost 10 years. And then this guy Jeremy mentioned it too. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to kind of do this now. So
Okay, so
I'll let you know.
it's going to
It's
happen.
it's
Oh,
it's it's going to
awesome.
happen. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing too is, well, I'm sure we'll talk about this, but that leads into another thing I wanted to do in 2023, which is collaborate more with people.
Yes.
That really have been kind of like, sitting in my basement or my secret space bunker making music, and it's like it's nice to actually play with other people. So,
So
um,
yeah, like we got some compilations on the digital horizon. Uh the Solipsist Cathode Ray Tube one I hear about?
yes, the cathopsis is what we call ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool, and big props to Rob from Component for putting that together, because yeah, because Rob knows Solipsis music very well, because he and Elizabeth, his wife, they've been doing stuff with Snow Beasts and Solipsis, and it's always
Friends of
amazing.
the show.
And Rob, exact friend of the show, Rob knows my stuff, and he's like, "How would you feel about um, working something out?" And I was like, great, but I was a little trepidatious. It reminded me of there's a bit Chris Rock does about wives who are friends putting their husbands together, and they're like, well, you boys like baseball, and they're like, you're sitting there in a room, it's like, it's like a pair of 4-year-olds, like, oh, you like baseball, I like baseball. But James and I got in touch, and we were like, well, so what do we do? How do we do this? And I said, I was like, I'll just send you some tracks.
Right,
So I
right.
sent him some stems, and he sent me stuff back. And in a relatively short amount of time, because James and I are both prolific,
Mhm.
and very, and I think prolific is probably the best word to describe it. Um, we were sending each other back like a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
and um, Rob eventually was like, "So how's it going?" I'm like, "Great." And we eventually came to a point where we're like, "Okay, we have these tracks." And I my initial reaction, knee jerk reaction to doing something like this is send the person who like would send Rob the first track and be like, approval, like, do you love it? Do you like me? And
Your hair smells nice.
right, exactly. And I said to James, I said, "No, I want to wait until we have at least 4 songs."
Okay.
And what we did actually was we waited. We ended up we just were pounding so much stuff out. We ended up waiting until we had like an album,
Oh
and I
wow.
sent it to him. And it's like in the movies. It's like you hit send, and does the
Oh
bomb go off?
yeah,
Did the bridge
right.
explode? And Rob was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You like it? You like it? I was worried you wouldn't." He's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, of course I did. He's like, "I know what both you guys sound like, and I knew it would be really
Oh
good."
yeah.
And he said the biggest compliment that I ever gotten about something like this. He said, "It sounds like both you and Solipsis, but then something else in between."
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh," because one of
that
my
is
favorite
cool.
things about some of my other heroes, the guys in Otecker, they say, or it was, I think, Sean, who's usually the mouthpiece, said, you know, Otecker is me, Sean, and Rob, and then Otecker. So it's like a third entity, Father,
Mm,
Son, and Holy Ghost, Father, Son, and Machine Drummer, Max
right.
MSP, whatever their thing is. So it was really cool. So Rob really liked that. That's getting pressed as a CD on Component. I don't know
Oh,
when that's going to be up, but hopefully, I think we're talking about April. Um, and I'm really excited about that.
wow.
Because
Kind of
that
old
was,
school
yeah, it,
now.
it was, yeah, it was really amazing. Just that, I mean, I could talk about that for an hour of itself. Just working with James, and it taught me, because I've realized I was very much about being like a solo artist and working by myself. It taught
Hmm.
me that for my music and my work to grow, I got to be out there like working with other
Mm.
people. And that's why I started to do more collaborations that you'll start to see in 2023. And
Hmm.
another one, we haven't really even started it, but it's kind of on the books for the label Triplicate, which they put out, the Burning Century EP. I'm doing a collaboration of some sort with Chair Crusher, who is
Yeah.
uh, who is an OG out of Iowa, and we've known each other since like 1993, when I first went on the Analog Heaven mailing list and dial up, and then through the
Yeah.
IDM lists. So Kent's also one of those people who I will send tracks to, and I love that we have such a rapport that we can both send each other withering single sentence comments about the track that will either decide whether it gets worked on further, or
Brutal.
or or sent to the cornfields.
Oh man. Bad, bad. Oh, DJ D42 says MTV TV may have sent a music video request to Cathode Ray Tube. Cool. They're looking for
I'm
music
ready.
videos.
Hook
Awesome.
me up. Let's do it. I want to. Yeah, I do
Hell
my.
yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. Do they do videos? I can't see the
No,
the chat here
it's
from.
like a music video channel for ones
Oh, hell
such
yeah.
as us.
Let's do this. I'm happy
Yeah,
to
yeah,
talk.
no, they're
My
great. They're great.
my wife was like, she said, "So you're getting excited to talk to go into space and go on the space couch?" I said, "When am I not excited to talk about myself?" Um, and she is not a musician, but she knows so much. She actually introduced me to like Brian Eno and really
Oh
made me
wow.
sit down and realize he was not just like hippie music or something. Um, and she knows, like I said, and I play her my music a lot, but you know, she also knows that like she can only handle so much discussion of music before she has to send me to somebody else, like like you,
Right.
because otherwise it drives her crazy. But yeah, so there's some other works coming up that I can't talk about yet, but some other collaborations that I'm really excited about.
Cool. I
And also some really, I will say this too. I think I can say this much. There's something really cool going to be coming out on Component at some point related to one of my past releases. Um, I'll say this: it's a remix album,
Ooh.
um, and Rob's probably going to shoot me for saying this, but I won't say who's on it, but
All right.
it's really cool.
All right. All right. Got
So
a dope remix album coming up
all right.
as Cathode Ray Tube or
Yes, and
okay.
if you never hear from me again, Rob, I'm sorry I spilled the beans.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's space. There, we're in international space waters, so you're
okay.
legally you're protected.
Oh, the
I,
rules are all different. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
the space rules.
That
Uh,
works for me.
might there be some sort of bureaucratic, potentially dog based collaboration?
Are
In
you
the
speaking of the fearsome yet unknown, uh, low level yet high performance entity known as bureaucratic dachshund?
Yeah, yes, he's all about blue skies and low hanging fruit.
Yes.
Yes,
Hell yeah. He's all
yeah.
about cutting the red tape, one chomp at a time. Um, yes, that's you and me, baby.
We'll
I'm
be
very excited about that.
doing something as most of my projects now come through internet jokes.
God bless it. And I'm so happy about that because something I don't think comes through necessarily in my music, maybe in the covers, like, anyone can play and,
Okay.
has those weird bug-eyed dudes in suits. But if, I don't know if I can say I'm kind of a funny guy, but I have a good sense of humor.
I'm dying.
Some
I'm some ab
Sometimes it doesn't come
workout.
out in the music necessarily. So it's nice to have that outlet.
All right.
Um, um, and yeah, and actually another one of the things I'm really psyched about you and I doing bureaucratic dachshund because I did that remix um of oh my god, what was it? Oh my god, it was
Gasoline.
for the maladaptive dream cult.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. It was
did that
great.
remix and I loved it.
Thank
And
you.
so when the idea came together to discuss and really highlight the travails of a wiener dog in a suit and tie, filing, I thought only Brian and I can bring
Yeah,
this
I
to
mean,
life.
yeah,
You know,
we got it. So yeah, I mean, the world is
I'm
ready.
psyched.
Whether they know it or not, I think it's a time in our nation where we need artistry. We have wounds that only um, uh, office dog based electronic music can fill. We're
It's
just here to
really
help.
there's really nobody else plumbing this field,
No, it's and
and
it just
I.
it's an obvious solution to me.
Hmm.
What with
Hmm.
the state of the world and everything. So
Right? It's just clearly the
we
time has
will
come
get you
for
will have to
bureaucratic
stamp
dachshund.
so many forms to get dog bones, and we will
Thank
not
goodness we're both stateside. Otherwise, the visa applications would be.
unreal. But there'll be a 7 day waiting period for shock collars and the whole thing. I want to cover real quick when you were last on. Bunnyhead was in full swing. Are you still doing your wonderful comic book art?
Yeah, it kind of when the pandemic happened, like
Mm-hmm.
everything, a lot of stuff came to a halt, and I was working on Bunnyhead, and then there really wasn't an opportunity to go out and do shows and cons
Mm-hmm.
for it. So for those who don't know it, Bunnyhead is my comic about a lone robot trying to save his fellow robots from mysterious cyborg invaders. It's also known as New England's premier amnesiac robot comic.
Hey.
Um, you can get it online. I think you can get it on since Comixology disappeared. I think it might be on Amazon, but
Okay.
anyway, it's still in play. I'm actually retooling kind of um the whole thing. I want to make sure I can get the art
Mm-hmm.
matching up to what I think the story and something you might not know about me, Brian, is I tend to dive headlong into things and sort of,
No.
figure it out as I'm
No.
going. And I think a lot of people do that, but I realized like after putting out 3 or 4 issues, I was like, I need to kind of maybe go back and like just
Oh,
learn a few techniques,
it's
just a few things,
amazing.
not just like art wise, but like a few other things. So yeah, so Bunnyhead, and it's near and dear to my heart. It's like, you know, as a creative, overly imaginative person, Um, like I don't like to have stories or songs or anything unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like the bunny had the story, like, the robots are up here, like knock knock, we'd like to come
Right.
out now. So yeah, so I'm it's still
Okay.
in progress. I
Awesome.
I don't know when it's coming out though, but
Okay.
if you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, you'll know.
Well, we will
In there.
definitely recommend Bunny Head at Home. It's there's a I don't know there's a it's classic comic art, but there's a sadness to it. I don't know. It
Yeah, it's well, I think that reflects everything about me, doesn't it?
yes.
No. No, but like, yeah, I've really enjoyed writing it, and it's drawing on like I I loved reading comics as a kid, and then I sort of stopped for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I started again, and I think, yeah, there's an interesting kind of thing coming through it. I actually did uh a comic and a full soundtrack album for Component called Seconds Too Late,
Yeah.
which I got permission for the title from Mal himself from Cabaret Voltaire.
Wow.
I'm I was kind of I'm kind of chuffed about that. But anyway, um, and that was a really fun thing to do. If you go online, if you read it and you buy it, you'll get to understand why. I'm not going to give it away, but I had a lot of fun doing something with that.
No,
But
hey.
yeah, I it's hopefully when it's all done, I hope I can just make it as epic in the real world as it is in my head.
And
Um,
hello
you know,
to Snowbeast who just jumped into the chat
Snow
room.
Beast. Um,
Let's do a little bit of feature segments on the show. Let's go into the radiation round. Called that because light is exceedingly rare in
I got my eye
space.
gear. I'm
There
all
you
set.
go. Okay. So, absolutely no wrong answers. Say whatever you want. We'll start with Frankenstein or Wolfman.
Sorry, I just needed my. They used to have canaries in a coal mine. Well,
Oh,
I got a
kitty.
Barney and a flow control. Yeah, this is Barney. So
Oh,
Barney's going
hey,
to help me with this. I'm
buddy.
sorry. What was the question for Barney?
Frankenstein or Wolfman?
Hmm. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Duct tape or gaff tape? You froze up. Uh, we'll get you back in a second. Um, unless we don't, but how you guys doing at home? Bonk, 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 bonk. It was too much radiation. We knocked him off the internet. Uh, that's all right. Okay. Well, let's see what we can do. Do. Watch me fix things in real time. Okay. Well, now you see how I do this show. We hit a vortex. Going into a wormhole. Yeah. Check it out. Let's see if we can get him back. Um, Hello? Am I still live? Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Well, we'll try to get our guest back, but no, it most of his stuff comes out on his own label called Condition Human. So it's Condition Human without the vowels dot bandcamp dot com. I always have to just Google Cathode Ray Tube um Bandcamp, and then I find it that way. But I would totally do that. It's really really like wonderful stuff. Um, a lot of it is pay what you want, but we'll try to get him back. But so the the tape question was as far as we got in the radiation round. But I'm guessing he's having internet trouble because I can't even get him back on like Facebook Messenger here. Let me try this. All right, well, we will cap it here then. Everybody check out Cathode Ray Tube on many labels. He's got a lot of releases. They're all great. Check out Tiger Squawk Records, our sponsors. And if you are in Ann Arbor, Chicago, Minneapolis, or La Crosse, Wisconsin, check us out at the end of March when Gasoline goes on tour. Oh wait a minute, I don't know what happened. Might maybe on my end. Okay, we'll see. We'll see if we can get him back. Fuck, the internet is out. All right. Well, we got enough. Okay. All good. We'll call it there. No worries. All right. So now officially, and now you can see I got a zit there. Yeah. He's got. I'm sorry you're watching me try to figure this out in real time. Well, yeah. All right. He said he had more jokes. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, he says, well, it was fun, man. Thanks for that. What's your mailing address? Okay, well, I'm not gonna. But yeah, that's pretty good. Cathode Ray Tube. I had fun with that. I was gonna. The hypothetical spectacle was gonna be Cathode Ray Tube with breakfast cereal. But maybe we'll figure that out later. Okay, thanks to all our sponsors and patreon.com/gospels. Best episode ever. All right.